If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment.
Hello everybody and welcome back to class 4 of the John Duffel bag. So for homework, you should have done your two ends. If you did them properly, when your zipper pulls are closing to the front, they should be mirrored to one another like mine are. That's how you know you have them done properly. Now we're to the main lining and the main exterior of the bag. So you want to take your main zipper. So double check on page 7 at the very top, number 1, that you have the length of zipper cut to whichever size you're doing. Mine is for the Big John, so I've cut it to the amount that it says in the pattern. Actually, no, I have done it too big. Okay, so I got my pulls on. I'm going to cut it down to what it needs to be in the pattern. Make sure. Very important. I definitely got to make sure it's the right amount because this is all I have left for zipper tape. So, okay. If I mess up, I'm in trouble. Okay. So there we go. And I've decided to put on 2 zipper pulls. Oh, maybe I'll just do 1 zipper pull. This isn't a super big zipper, so no, we'll go 2 zipper pulls. Okay. So now we want to grab our zipper tabs. You can do 1 zipper pull or 2. It doesn't matter which. We're going to take our zipper tab, put it right sides together, like so. And then we're going to take the lining tab and we're going to put it right sides together with the exterior, and we have the added into the clips. So it's sandwiching that zipper tape. So again, with the tape right side up, take your zipper tab exterior right side down, your lining tab right side up, and put them into clips. Make sure they're lined up nicely. Then we're going to go ahead and we are going to sew across each of these right here with the seam allowance. That is, let me find it here. Okay, so the full seam allowance that's in the pattern that's stated on the first page. And then we're going to open these up at the machine and we're going to bring them wrong sides together and we're going to top stitch through the zipper tabs. So you do want these seam allowances to be accurate. And I'm just going to chain stitch it by bringing the other side around like so, and I'll cut them apart once I'm done sewing. And I ran out of bobbin. Oh my goodness, what a way to start. Okay, 1 second. In all fairness, I'm doing all of these all in one day. So this is, I've been going through a lot of bobbin already. Okay. Yes, I'm filming all 4 classes all in the same day, so. Okay. And then we're going to bring these zipper tabs wrong sides together and top stitch through the zipper tab. Same with the opposite side. I'm just going to chain stitch them. Bring them wrong sides together and top stitch. All right. Okay, so that's what that looks like. So now what we want to do is we want to grab our exterior front and our lining front. On the wrong side, we are going to mark in, actually on both sides we're going to do this, 1/2 inch from each side. Same with on the lining along the top, a 1/2 inch from each side. We want to mark in. Just like that. Okay, so we have our exterior front right side up. Now I am going to just tuck this in here. I'm going to be using double-sided tape, but again, use clips if you want. And this goes together very similar to a pouch. Where is my double-sided tape? There it is. Okay. So on my exterior, I'm going to put some double-sided tape right along the top. Again, you can use clips and you can baste in between each step. I'm just doing them all in one shebang. You know me, I like to save time. I've already marked my top and bottom centers of this. On our lining piece, we want to mark our top and bottom centers as well. Just like so. And we're going to put double-sided tape, make sure it's the one that has our marks on the left and the right hand side along the top. Okay. And we're going to take our zipper tape. Now, if you have your only one pull, you'll want to make sure it is closing to the left. I have 2 pulls, so it doesn't really matter. And we are going to go ahead and we are going to put this, it should be the same width, right sides together, and stick it down. Oops, first, let's even up our zipper tabs to be the same width as our zipper tape. That will help us immensely. Almost forgot. So trim them up to be the same width as your zipper tape. Okay. And then once again, with your pull going to the left, if you only have one pull, make sure your handles are out of the way. Should be the same width. Bring these right sides together and stick it down. All the way across. This one must be nice and even. Always wants to pucker right where our zipper is gathering it. Okay. Let's stick down this section better. Okay. And then you guessed it, we're going to take our lining. Again, you can use clips. You could baste that in place if you prefer as well. And we're going to take this and put it right sides together, making sure our handle's still out of the way. Match up that center and stick or clip it across. Should be the perfect width. And you should be able to see your marks. Now I did them on both sides because depending which side you're going to have sewing when you're sewing. And we are going to sew from mark to mark with the seam allowance stated. Let me see. I'm just trying to see where my seam allowance is. We're going to sew with the full seam allowance. So from mark all the way across to the other mark. Do not go past those marks. So again, mark to mark. And we're going to put on our zipper foot so we can get a nice and straight zipper. We want the most even seam allowance we can possibly get. So this will definitely help us achieve that. Okay. So we're going in with the full seam allowance, mark to mark, making sure to backstitch at start and stop. Now your zipper pulls may get in the way, so put your needle down, reach under, lift up your presser foot, and be attacked by your regular standard foot. Oh my goodness. Where did that go? It's over there. Okay. I'll pick that up here momentarily. Okay. And don't go past the line on the opposite side. Backstitch well. All right, so you will see I did not sew past those 1/2 inch marks and lined up perfectly on the other side. Next, we want to press these wrong sides together. I'm going to use some double-sided tape to help hold it in place just because my vinyl is a little thicker. Okay. Again, you can just finger press it as well or take it to an iron if you're using cottons. I'm going to start with my exterior and I'm going to press that nice and tight away from the zipper teeth. Again, if you're using vinyl, this gets a little bit thick here. You can see I have nice and even space between my teeth and my main panel. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do the same with the lining side here, bringing them wrong sides together. Now, the reason we don't top stitch or sew past those 1/2 inch marks is because we need the lining and the exterior to be able to function separate of one another for when we put on the sides. And that'll all make sense here momentarily. So it's very important that we do not have it sewn within those 1/2 inches. Double-sided tape is okay just because I'm sticking exterior to exterior and lining to lining, and they'll still be able to function separate from each other. So I'm going to once again take marks, and from each side I'm going to measure in a 1/2 inch. And then we're going to top stitch from 1/2 inch mark to 1/2 inch mark, making sure we backstitch well. Top stitch 1/2 inch mark to 1/2 inch mark. And very important you don't go past those 1/2 inch marks. Backstitch. Needle down if you have to move your pulls out of the way. How's my tension looking there? We're looking good. So glad Riley chose a green bag this time, my favorite color. The last 2 bags I've made him have been red, which is his favorite color. So I'm kind of happy he went outside of his box and chose my favorite color. Okay. Okay, so that is done. So you will see how you can move the exterior and the lining separate of one another. That is exactly what we want and why we didn't go past those 1/2 inch marks. Now we're going to do the exact same thing with the back panel and the lining back panel as we did with this one. So I'm going to start with this one. Again, we're going to mark our 1/2 inch marks. Very important. On the wrong sides. You'll also see I added in rivets. I wasn't going to do the rivets, but then Riley asked for the rivets. So I just made sure I backed them with some Duffel heavy. And because I don't know how this webbing is going to do, I did some fray check and my rivet holes as well. And that should hopefully make it so no fraying will happen. Okay, so this time I'm going to take my lining panel right side up. I've already got my centers marked. Actually, I don't have my center bottom marked, so I might as well mark that. This is the side that has your zipper pocket with the opening in the bottom. So we can sew up the bottom later on. Again, you can use clips and you can baste in between each step too. Completely up to your preference. This bag is getting bigger and bigger and harder to show on the screen. Oh, what am I doing? I'm going to take my zipper. And we're going to put this on nice and centered. Right side up. The lining panel is right side up and my zipper panel that's already been worked is right side up. Make sure everything lines up perfect. Okay, stick that down. And then take the exterior. We're very close to being done, believe it or not. The rest goes pretty fast. Hardest part of this bag is actually doing those side pockets, in my opinion anyways, and they're not that bad either. It's a pretty fast duffel bag to make, actually. Lots of pieces to cut out, but definitely worth it. Okay, and then we're going to put this at right sides together, lining up that center. And sticking or clipping it across nice and straight. You guys hear cars? I do have my window open here. It is just beautiful outside. We have a little bit of sun showers happening and the smell of that rain is just heavenly. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead just like before and we're going to sew mark to mark. Still with my zipper foot on. Make sure you're not sewing through your handles at all. Make sure they're out of the way. Just be aware of where all the layers are. Ouch. Stab myself a little bit there. Okay. Mark to mark, making sure to backstitch well at start and stop. Again, making sure not to go past those 1/2 inch marks. I need to move my zipper pulls out of the way. Okay, and once again, we want to push all of these wrong sides together. And then we're going to top stitch from 1/2 inch mark to 1/2 inch mark again. So again, finger press or press with an iron if you're using cotton, whatever works for you. Finger press. Nice and tight away from those zipper teeth. Oh, that looks so good. That zipper matches this so perfect. Same with the lining side. Very much like how a pouch goes together. Nice and tight away from the zipper teeth. Over, and then we're going to make our marks 1/2 inch in from each side. And then we're going to go and top stitch between those marks. And my sewing machine table is starting to feel very small. So again, don't top stitch past those 1/2 inch marks. Make sure you're getting through all the layers you need to get through. So just this back, exterior, and lining. Oh, she looks so good. Gotta say, this is one of my favorite things to make. It's very satisfying, especially making such a large bag. And again, this is Riley's favorite. This is his second of these. His other one that I made him was a Dallas duffel, which is a pretty good duffel bag as well. But he really likes this one, and he requested this one again. So, okay. Okay, so that's what that looks like. You're starting to see what the bag is going to look like. Make sure your zippers move free and clear. And they do. You can actually leave your zippers somewhat open. Now what we want to do is we want to flip this so the back side is facing you. You're going to flip up the back panel, the back lining panel, as well as the front panel out of the way. So all we want to be working with is our front lining panel. We already have our center mark there. Now, this is slightly different than in the pattern. I don't believe she leaves an opening in the bottom. She turns it all through the pocket, but we're going to leave an opening in the bottom and close that up later on. So we're going to make sure you have this orientated properly so you can see if it went this way, it wouldn't be long enough. So this is your lining bottom panel. Oops, I got a little bit of interfacing here. Okay, what we want to do is along those long sides, we want to find our middle for both sides. Make a snip. Okay. Now we're going to make some marks on the back of this. So I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to leave about, I don't know, maybe 2.5 or 3 inches from each side, like so. We're going to be leaving this bottom part open, but we're going to still sew these sides together. So what we want to do is right sides together. We want to match up that center, clip it in place. And for this side, we're going to sew from the end to this mark, backstitch well, break our thread, jump over to the other mark and do the same. This is with a larger seam allowance. So that seam allowance you will find on page 7 in step 6, and that is the seam allowance we're going to use. While we're at the machine, I'm also going to clip this side. So I'm going to take the other side of the lining and the other side here. I'm going to match up those centers. So I'm kind of forming a loop. It's just so I don't have to come back to the table and do this again later. We're going to do this side the exact same way, except for we're not even leaving an opening in the bottom of this side. We will be sewing all the way across with that larger seam allowance. We'll do that all at the same time at the machine. So again, we're just working with the lining. We are not even touching that exterior right now. It's just out of the way. So I'm going to start with the side that I'm leaving an opening in, just so I do not forget about that opening. Again, remember the linings we do with the larger seam allowance, and that is to make it so our lining is a little bit smaller than our exterior so it doesn't fall in. At this point, you can go ahead and change back into your standard foot. So yeah, we do the lining with the larger seam allowance so it fits nice and tight within the bag. Just makes it slightly smaller. It's perfection. Okay. So again, this is the side that we're leaving an opening in. Got my seam allowance set here. And this bottom just makes it a lot easier to turn this bag out later, doing it this way. So backstitch, when you get to that mark that we made, backstitch a couple times well, like so. Break your thread. Again, this is a big bag on a little bed. Hop on over to the next mark. Okay. Once you got that side done, you can take these clips off of the one with the opening. We're going to flip it over and do the other side we have clipped, making sure everything is out of the way and you're only sewing through those lining panels. And this time we're going all the way across. Okay, so this is what we got. This is the bottom of our lining. We have an opening in one side. The other side is sewn all the way across. We want to, you can go ahead and you can press this if you want towards the bottom, but I'm just going to kind of keep it in mind that these seams will be pushed towards the bottom later. So now what we want to do is we want to find our quarter sections of these sides because we're going to sew on those rounded lining sides. So the way to do that is we'll start with one side. We're going to match up those seam allowances that we had just sewn for the bottom, match them up, pull it up to the side, and make your snip. Oops, I didn't mean to throw that down so heavy. Sorry about that. Match it up, pull it up to the sides, and that should fall almost right in the middle of this zipper tab here, which is what we want. So just the lining zipper tab. We're not clipping into the exterior zipper tab. Just do a little snip. And then to find our side sections, bring up the top and bottom centers like so. And squeeze it to find your side. Very similar to when we put the gusset on those pockets. Center again. And then we want to do the same on the opposite side. Repeat again. If you're working with the long side, it feels, or the large size like me, it does feel super awkward because you're dealing with almost a fully constructed bag. It's a little bit heavy. Okay, again. Okay, and find the side quarter sections. Right there. Again, we're just working with the linings. Okay, now that we have those prepped, we're going to prep our last two remaining side pieces. So once again, just like we did before, we want to find our quarter sections using the pattern piece. I'm just going to trim out my interfacing here again. I always forget to do it before class. You know me. There we go. All right. So on the back side, I'm going to mark it, and then I'm going to also do my little snips. So line it up. Top and bottoms, sides. Side. I'm not going to worry about the snips because I will be able to see these pen marks. The way we're going to be sewing this, I think, should be fine. Top and bottom centers. Side. And side. Okay. All right, let's bring this back. Now, what we're going to do is we want to, and this seems awkward, but trust me, it works out. We want to bring these right sides together. So I got the bottom of my lining and the bottom of my side. Match up that center. Clip in place. And this is good practice for when we go to do the exterior, because we'll be pretty much doing the same thing but with more bulk. Okay, now what we want to do is make sure we are not clipping the exterior zipper tab. We just want to be doing the lining. Okay, find, where is it? Where's my top center? Oh, it's right there. I was looking for snips and I didn't do snips. So again, you want to kind of push the exterior tab out of the way. Use lots of clips here. Same on the opposite side. Oops. Not on the opposite side yet. The other quarter sections. Find them, match them up. Again, make sure your bottom seam is going towards the bottom and clip that in place. We're going to clip both sides in place just because it'll save us time at the machine rather than having to come back to the table. And there we are right there. Okay, and then evenly distribute the fabric in between those quarter sections. And making sure that the seam is going towards the bottom panel. If you need to do snips to help get around those curves, you can do that into the bottom panel, just slightly, just help ease it around. I promise you guys, we are almost done. Okay. Whoops. Should fit perfect. Just like that, see? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna clip the other side in place as well, just so we have it all done and ready to go. So again, make sure you're folding the exterior zipper tab out of the way. We do not want to get that caught in our sewing or anything just yet. Oops, that's not my center right there. Okay, that's the top. Let's do the bottom. There's my bottom. There it is. Quarter section. Other quarter section. Your arms sure get tired working with the big bag. Good for the muscles, I think. Okay, and once you have those, again, evenly distribute all the way around. Again, make sure you're not clipping any of the exterior into this. Seam going towards the bottom. snips in this one. Lots of clips to hold it in place. We're almost there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this to the machine. We are going to sew these sides on with that larger seam allowance, but when we get up to where the zipper tab is, get as close as you can to that larger seam allowance, but if it's a little less, that's okay too. But make sure you're not sewing through this exterior when you come around there. You're going to be holding that out of the way and only sewing through the lining all the way around for both at that larger seam allowance, which is stated in step 8 on page 7. Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom. So I find this easier to stitch around with my side panel facing up. I think that's what's going to be easier for me. No. Which way do I want to do it? Yeah, my side panel facing up. I think that's going to be the easiest. I can't remember which way I prefer. We'll try it this way and see how it goes. So again, make sure you're only catching what you want to catch. We're working with a lot of material here, especially if you're working with the large size. We're going with that larger seam allowance. Go clip by clip, sewing all the way around. Making sure everything is staying in place. Now this is the lining, so if there is the odd pucker, it's not the end of the world. Make sure you're pressing your seam towards the bottom panel when you come to it. So there's my seam right there. You have to adjust, make sure your needle is down. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. Usually I do this part on my cylinder arm, but it's just as easy on the flatbed. I know most of you have a flatbed, but if you're on a cylinder arm, this is super easy on the cylinder arm. I would be doing it with the opposite side facing up. Okay, so we're coming towards the side, the zipper tabs. So you're going to be very aware where that exterior zipper tab is to make sure you're holding it out of the way. And you want to sew close to it, but not through it. And make sure you're not sewing through any of your exterior as you come up to this point. The tab is folded under and out of the way. Just through the lining zipper tab. We did it. And we're coming to the bottom again, so make sure you have your seam, your bottom seam going towards the bottom. Okay, and just take a peek to make sure everything was caught all the way around. Should have been. And see, we did not sew through that exterior, so that's good. Okay, so let's do the other side. Same thing, rinse, repeat. I always find going clip by clip helps the most because you only have to worry about those smaller sections, and you can kind of use your sense of touch to make sure you have nothing that shouldn't be in that seam Just always make sure that needle is down before adjusting, or you may cry. Okay, coming to that zipper tab, so I got to be very aware of that exterior zipper tab to make sure I don't sew through it. I'm going to fold it out of the way. I'm holding it with my thumb. You can't see that, but I'm holding my zipper tab out of the way, exterior zipper tab out of the way with my thumb. As I come up to it here, just making very much that I am only sewing through that lining. I mean, if that seam allowance gets a little bit smaller right there, just make sure you're catching that, just that lining. Okay, past it, slip it all, my needle is down, let's slip it all over, get my exterior out of the way. Smaller bag would be a lot easier to maneuver through here, I promise. Make sure my zipper tab is still out of the way, and it is. Okay. Hard part done. Well, the hard part of this section done anyways. Coming to my bottom seam, making sure it's going towards the bottom. All right. Nope. Throwing clips around again. Okay, so lining side, you can see I didn't sew through that zipper tab. Same with on this side. That is the lining complete. We still have that opening in the bottom for turning later on. Now we're getting to the more intense part. So make sure your zipper is mostly open now. Okay, now we're going to work with the exterior. So we're going to be doing a similar thing. Oops, I forgot to trim all the, please hold. Let me trim out my fleece out of my seam allowances here. 1 second. It's because I rough cut my interfacing when I do it and fuse it on, and then I always forget to trim it back. So the hardest part of this is we're going to end up top stitching this. So one side is really easy to top stitch. The other side will be top stitching in a tube. And then we're putting on those side pockets that we created earlier, similar to what we did with the lining, Just a few things different, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay, so let's find our top and bottom centers. Snip. We're going to be using the regular seam allowance in the pattern now, not the larger one. Oops, let go, double-sided tape. Let's get some more clips. Okay. So I'm going to start with the main front. So that's all I have in the front here. Putting these right sides together, matching up that center. Clip in place. We're not worrying about the other side just yet, because we got a couple extra steps here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to sew through here with the regular seam allowance. We're going to take our bottom, press our seam towards the bottom, and then top stitch through the bottom for this first side. Okay, so back to the regular seam allowance. Back stitch and go all the way across. We're not leaving any openings. My iPad sitting here, it's almost getting knocked on the ground. Okay. Right, and then while we're here, we're also going to do that top stitching of the one side. I think I'm glad I went to this view with the camera, because I don't think you'd be seeing what I was doing otherwise. So I'm going to make sure my seam is going towards the bottom. We're going to top stitch that seam in place through the bottom. Again, this gets a little bit heavy here on the machine, trying to hold on to just the sheer size of this bag. Worth it though. This is an amazing duffel. I truly do love it. Okay, that's one side done. Okay, so she's a big one. Now what we want to do is we want to bring the other exterior, the exterior back, and the other side together. Match up that center and clip in place. We're going to sew this just like we did the other side, but when it comes to top stitching, we're going to have to top stitch in the tube. And I won't lie, it's awkward. It's not hard, it's just awkward. But thankfully, it is a big bag with a big side opening, so it's not too bad. You'll see what I mean here momentarily. So once you have that side all clipped in, we're going to sew across that. And then we're going to top stitch it through the tube. Oh my. Regular seam allowance. Okay, before we go further, I strongly suggest checking your bobbin, because if you end up top stitching through this tube and you don't have enough thread, you will cry. Okay, I have enough. Okay. And there's no crying in bag making. Well, yeah, there's a little sometimes. Come here, thread. Oops, something's, my bobbin thread's caught on something. It's caught on itself. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm pushing, this is my bottom panel right here. I'm pushing it towards the seam. So now the seam is towards the bottom panel, and we are going to top stitch through the tube. Just like, go here. Oh, I gotta change the top stitch. Now, I find having a hand in here and then a hand underneath the seam to kind of guide it and make sure that you're pulling that seam tight really helps. Oops. For some reason, I think my knee lift is my go button, but no, it's not, Brandy. Okay. So this one isn't too bad because it is such a large bag and it is such a large opening. You can kind of pull everything out of the way. Just make sure you're pulling that seam nice and tight and that it's not folding up on itself. Take it slow. Make sure your needle is down before you adjust. You just got to watch because sometimes it wants to fold back on itself. You don't want it to do that. You could probably leave this top stitch out, but it's nice when it holds that seam where it needs to go. And I'm there. That wasn't too bad. Make sure when you go to pull it out that your needle is right up because you don't want to accidentally catch it on your vinyl and tear it. Okay, that's the bottom done, you guys. Okay, back to the table. Okay, so this is what we got. So now it's time to put on our exterior sides. Now this is the part I always mess up. First, let's find our quarter sections just like we did with the sides. So again, match up these side and base panels. Find your quarter sections. Definitely want to have them even for this one because it is the exterior and we're going to see it. Let me trim this up. My exterior is just a little bit bigger. There we go. Make sure your zipper is open, which mine is. Now we're going to do something a little bit different with these zipper tabs this time because this time we want to catch both zipper tabs, and that's just to help make it so the lining doesn't fall in. And I'll show you what I mean here momentarily. Let's get these quarter sections marked first before I get too far ahead of myself. Vinyl's a little more slippery to work with than the cotton was. I almost did my finger there. I didn't, but I almost did. Okay, same with the other side. Just trim this up a bit so they're even. Okay, match those up. so close to being done, I can taste it. And there's no more top stitching, guys. We're done our top stitching. We just have to put the sides on and then turn it, and then we're done. Actually, there's a few other things we got to do. Okay, so this is where you got to think. We're going to be putting these pockets in right sides together. So I'm seeing the front of my bag. This is what I did wrong on my last one in the tutorial. So I want my bag, so my pulls are closing to the front, okay? So that's the wrong one. I'm going to find the one. So here's the front of my bag here. So when this is in right sides together, my pull is closing to the front. So make sure your zipper is closed so you know which way it's going. So I know it will go in this way. So my zipper with the pull is right sides together with my front panel. And we're going to put this in like this, and we're going to line up those quarter sections like so. So just like how we did the other sides, except for we have a lot more bulk. Again, this is easier to sew on a cylinder arm because you would just put it on the cylinder arm machine and go this way, but I'm going to do it on the flatbed just because the tutorial was done on the cylinder arm, and this will just show another view of how to do it on a flatbed machine. Okay, I'm going to take my top center. Now, what we're going to do here different is this time the lining zipper tab, that this one here, we want to sew it with the exterior zipper tab. So you're going to put these together. Of course, this one is just a little bit too long. So we want to make sure when we get to this top, we don't want to be getting any of this, but we do want to catch this zipper tab right here. So you're going to put it together with the exterior zipper tab and match it up with that top center and clip it in place. So that's one thing that's different, is we do want to catch just that part of the lining there, like so, just where that zipper tab is. See? So even though we didn't do it with the other one, we are going to do it with this one. Let me close my window. The sun is coming right in there. There we go. That's a little better. So yes, so this time, even though we avoided the exterior one when we did the lining, we want to make sure we catch it doing this side. Very important. Okay. Match up the quarter sections. And again, that is to make it so it doesn't fall into the lining, or it doesn't fall into the bag. This one could probably be done as a drop-in lining too, but that's hard. This is a lot easier than that. I've got both dogs in here. You probably heard them open the door. Yes, Dexter now opens doors. He's too smart for his own good. Okay, and then evenly distribute that fabric around. Lots of clips. We're dealing with thicknesses here. I got some stray thread from the last project hanging out. Oh, another one bites the dust. So yeah, if you have a free arm or a cylinder arm, definitely check out the tutorial because it's so much easier to sew this on that, but I'm not going to do that on this one. I'm going to just keep going on the flatbed. Just because I know the majority of people in class have the flatbed. And the tutorial again shows how to do it on the cylinder arm. So best of all worlds this way. As much as I would prefer to do it on my cylinder arm, but this isn't about me today. And we're just going to do one side at a time. I'm not going to clip the other side because that's getting really, really bulky. A lot to have on the machine. Then we only have to worry about it being super structured for the last side that we do. But there's a couple other steps we're going to have to do on this side. So we'll do one side and then we will do the other side. Okay, so again, I've only caught about that much of the lining that we're going to sew through. Oopsies. And then we're going to go and sew all the way around this with the regular seam allowance, I believe. I will double check it. Okay, think I could get any more clips on here? I probably can. I think I can get a couple more. Let's do a couple more. I do not want it to shift. I will cry. Okay, so we're going to go all the way around with, let me see here. Looks like, let me double check. Full seam allowance. Yep. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, goodness me. I'm gonna check my bobbin. Should be okay, I hope. So exactly like we did the lining, except for we're going to catch that seam allowance at the top of the lining side as well. Okay, so again, go clip by clip, making sure it's all nice and smooth and there's no nips or tucks because these ones will definitely show. And let's do this. This is where I feel like I should cue the music. Needle down whenever you have to adjust. The rounded corners will be the hardest, but it's not too bad actually. The pocket that we made is quite structured, so it kind of really helps guide it around. Just take it nice and slow, making sure you're catching all layers. Make sure nothing is slipping. And you have your lining still out of the way, except for where that zipper tab is, because we're going to sew through it all through there, which I'm coming to right now. So be aware of where your lining is. So you're not sewing through your actual lining, just through that seam allowance of the lining zipper tab. Put my needle down. I'm going to adjust. So I'm going to kind of just scooch my lining, oops, up and out of the way. So I'm not accidentally sewing through it. Everything's staying how I need it to. I think so. Okay, I'm currently going through all of those zipper tabs. Needles down. I'm going to adjust. I'm going to scooch my lining backwards so it's out of the way. Okay, now we're coming down the other side. Almost done this side. Done. Kind of look around and make sure it was caught all the way around. It looks like I'm good. Clean up some of these clips and then we'll head back to the table. All right, so we can kind of peek in here and you can check your seams. I'm just going to rub my finger all around it. Make sure everything was caught. I'm pretty sure it was. That's what that looks like. So now you want to do the exact same thing with this side. Yeah, exactly the same thing. So I'm actually going to go and do that off camera because I'm not sure how much you're actually seeing at the machine with me doing this. So yeah, go ahead and do that side. And then we have a couple more things we need to do and we are done. Okay, so I changed my mind. I decided I'm going to show you guys, oops, Dexter says hi, how to do this on the cylinder arm for the opposite side. So I didn't change my thread color. I just kept what was in the machine. But you place it separately. You do it this way on a what's it called? Free arm machine as well. So you'll see how much easier. What is that sound? Something is vibrating. I've got a piece of paper there. That's why. There we go. Mainly the cylinder arm is easier just because it gives you a little more table space to be able to do this. But just to give you both views, I'm glad that I could. And this just is a lot easier for me too. Say hi, Riley. My son's in here. I should be making Riley do this because this is his bag. I am recording, Ry. This is being Mr. Noisy Pants over there. Okay, so I'm coming up to my lining where I want to catch the top of that zipper tab. Make sure I'm catching everything else too. I'd have to check that. So I have better visual of that on the flatbed machine. So I might have to go check that zipper tab area once we get all the way around, because I think I may have missed it. We will see. So there's pros and cons to both machine setups with this bag. This bag is, or this machine is just so much easier to sew in a circle on, like we're doing with this. I don't always feel I have as much control on this machine, but it's probably more because I do not use it all that often, to be honest. Okay. Back to the beginning, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to check where those zipper tabs meet. And I totally did not get it. I'm going to take it back in here. I felt like I had missed it. I didn't even sew the exterior at all. I'll just go back in and fix it. So I definitely had more control on the flatbed machine to where these zipper tabs were than I do on the cylinder arm. But the rest was easier on the cylinder arm for sure. There we go. All caught. Okie dokie, is my mic still on? Yes, it is. Okay, so that is both sides sewn on. Now there's just a few little things we're going to do. Now, this little trick we're going to do will make it a little bit harder when we go to sew up at the bottom of this, but it's still doable. What we want to do is we want to take the bottom of the lining here on each side, and we're going to kind of squish it and line it up with the exterior nice and centered. And you're going to clip those seams together. Now, this doesn't have to be done neat or anything like that, but right at this bottom seam, we're going to sew within the seam allowances, like with 1/4 of an inch, about 4 inches right along there, just to hold the lining towards the bottom of the bag. Whoops. So again, I'll show you with this side. So here's our exterior. Oh, I got to sew the one side first. So let's go ahead and sew this side. Again, we're going to sew it within the seam allowance just for like 3 or 4 inches. Oopsies. Okay, so again, just in that seam allowance, and it's to help hold our lining nice and tight inside. So it's not changing any of the seams. You're just kind of like when you're going in strengthening stitches and you're just like going like 1/8 of an inch in to the seam allowance. That's exactly what we're doing. Just for a little bit of it. And that'll just help bring the bottom to the lining. And while we're at the machine, we'll go ahead and we'll do the same with the opposite side. So you're going to have to squish your bag together. So this side here, going to just squish it in, bring those bottoms down together, find that center. Feels a little awkward, but it works well. It does make sewing up the bottom, just like this, when we're done, a little awkward, but I find it super hard. I find it harder to turn it through the pocket, especially with my carpal tunnel. So I just make it work. Okay, so that's seam allowance. You could probably skip this, but it really does help make it sit nice and tight in the bottom of the bag. Oopsies. Get in there. Second side is a little harder to bring down, just because we got the other side already clipped to the bottom or stitched to the bottom. Very important you stay within the seam allowance. They're just tack stitches. Just like that. All right, still attached. All right, now you could also, I'm not going to worry about it because my vinyl is so thick it's getting hard to get in there, but you can also go and do some tack stitches along the side panels. But I think with the top and the bottom, I'm just going to leave it as is. That'll be fine. Then you want to go ahead, you want to turn it all out through the opening in the bottom of the bag. And this is why you see why we left the bottom open, because this is hard. There's so much, especially when you've done it in vinyl, it's hard to turn it through the pocket. I just couldn't do it. So I should be making Riley do this. This is his bag. But what's nice is that it is fleece. So really the thickness I'm working with mainly is the vinyl and those side pockets. Squish it as much as you can. Actually might be easier to pull the lining out. So the bag is inside out, and then turn it the rest of the way through that pocket. Actually, I want to see something quickly. That's going to be too hard. My poor arms. Okay, my arms are not handling this. This isn't as hard as I'm making it look, but I am going to get Riley to come and turn it out. All right, so I brought in Riley. You're going to see Riley's hands as he tries to turn out his own bag. So again, you're just turning it. You don't want to pull too hard, squishing and turning it. You can manipulate it as much as you want. You want the exterior to come, yeah. Riley's first turning of a bag. Isn't it fun? So again, I have Riley turning the bag just because my carpal tunnel is really bad, but he is a newbie bag turner, so. The dog is on both of our feet right now too. So you can kind of, now it's taken two of us. There we go. Once you start getting it to come, it will start to come. As I'm getting impatient. Huh? Okay, keep going. He's being really gentle with it. You got this, buddy. You can do it. I love how he's not talking. Get a little more light in here. So usually Dave will do this for me. He's really good at turning the bags, but Riley's getting it. Once it gets most of the way through, it comes through pretty easy. So even if you get it, yeah, that way, and then we can flip it right side out. So this is why I chose to leave an opening in the lining, even though because we have cinched that bottom, it is going to be a little hard to close up that turning hole in the bottom, but trust me, it's easier than berthing it through the pocket as per the pattern. The other thing we could have done is we could have completely bound the inside of this as well. That might have been something that could be done, but that would be totally rewriting the pattern, and I've never tested that before, so that's why we're doing it this way. Look, he's almost got it. There we go. Look how beautiful your bag is. Careful not to pull on the straps because you don't want their webbing. I don't want them to see. Now I'm nagging him like a mother. So come in. It's like magic, isn't it, Riley? He's not going to say a word. Say hi. He's just laughing.
I still got the voice to talk right now.
Try to have it on camera so everybody can see what you're doing. Feel free to reach in through the hole and punch it through if you wanted to too. Oh, he's so close. So close. It's getting exciting because you can see what your new baby looks like. It's almost there. We're in the middle more. So again, if you did this in cotton, it would be much easier, but it looks so amazing in vinyl. So amazing in vinyl. Look at that.
It's a bag.
It's a bag. Thank you so much, Riley. Can you take the dog with you? I can do it the other way. Thank you, everybody. Or everybody say thank you to Riley, even though you're watching this pre-recorded. Go, Dexter. Okay, so I'm just going to reach in and push out all of those seams. Thank goodness. I don't think I was going to be able to turn it myself, so. So it feels weird when you reach in through the lining because we do have that bottom cinched up, but you do want to go through and press out the seam all the way around. Again, his lining on the sides will sag a little bit just because I didn't cinch it, but I think it'll be fine. Okay, so that's one side pressed out really good. Let's do this other side. We can go and fix that binding side after the fact. So I'll push out all of those main seams. And then this looks all squished in, but that is actually from the binding. So you just have to undo that and push out the binding. Oh, she looks so good. And I actually got the zipper going the right way on this side, which is a miracle. Miracle. Fix the binding on this side, just push it all out. So yeah, it does take a little bit to turn, but it works out okay. See, and it actually fits pretty tight in there, so that's good. Now what we want to do is we want to close it up. Once we're happy with all of our seams, we're going to make sure everything was caught. Just kind of go around and pull. It's this seam we're looking at here. That's why I don't say don't put deckable heavy on the bottom. It would be impossible to turn. All my seams look amazing. Let's close it up. So open up your zipper pocket, pull out, oops, the lining of that zipper pocket, reach in and grab the opening in the bottom of the bag. Now this is going to feel a little bit awkward just because we have it cinched. Remember, we tacked it to the bottom of the exterior. So just kind of give it a good yank. It's just going to pull everything up like this. Easier than turning through the zipper pocket, I promise you. A little more effort to pull that lining up, but it's actually not that bad. Okay, clip across. So glad I had Riley here to turn it out. My wrists are just done. This is why I need July off, because I need to recoup my carpal tunnel a little bit, rest the arms. I mean, I'll still be sewing, but not like 5 bags a week like I usually do. I'm only going to work till noon. I'm going to try to get my house cleaned and organized, spring clean, and my studio revamped and ready to go for August again. Maybe some selfish sewing. We will see. Okay, so once we have that clipped across, we can go ahead and sew that. And then while we're at the machine, we're also going to top stitch shut our zipper pocket. It's almost done. I am so pleased with how this one has turned out. Okay, so again, it is a little bit awkward, but definitely a lot easier than squish the bag. Then turning it through that zipper pocket, especially when you make this with vinyl. It was written for cotton, just so everybody knows, but you know me, I like me a vinyl bag. Okay, sew up that bottom. Make sure you're not catching anything else in it, like the straps. So you're doing it with that larger seam allowance, remember? That we did for the linings. All the way to the other side. So the only reason this makes this, oh, oopsies, I didn't have my needle down, Brandy, a little bit awkward is because we did cinch those bottoms down, but that will hold the lining inside the bag. So we could have cinched the sides down, but it was just too thick as it was for me to get to it. So this is just fine. Almost there. I can see you. Okay, stuff that lining back into the bag. Push it all out. And then go ahead and sew, turn in the raw edges of your zipper pocket and top stitch that shut. Just like we do with all of our turned bags. Right, you can see it's starting to get darker in here. It is almost supper time. It has taken me all day to do this, but that's okay. She looks good. Go ahead and stuff your zipper pocket back in where it belongs. And I apologize, I am not showing my face because I do not have my face camera set up because it's my phone right here, so. Oh well. You saw my face at the beginning. So you can see everything stays in there nice and tight. So kind of give it a good tug to make sure again. She looks good. She zips up. Again, it's meant to be a soft, squishy bag. I'm going to massage some of this binding into place a little bit more. The binding really does help give it that beautiful structure. And it just made it for one less thing to have to turn. My zippers are closing the right way, which makes me so happy. Look at that. So happy. It does look better when it's fuller. This is where this goes in here, our handy dandy strap. So you have a grippy thing for that. And then we have our crossbody strap that we can hook on. And she's done, you guys. Look at that. Again, it's really weird because she's a squishy bag. Gotta remember, it's only fleece in there. I guess it's a boy bag, but look how beautiful it turned out. I really hope you guys enjoyed this class. I hope you had a wonderful July, and I can't wait to see you in August. Bye, everyone. Thanks again. Let me know that you were in this class. Comment down below. Bye-bye.